Tonight's breaking news that Defense Secretary Robert Gates is staying on makes the Obama cabinet look more and more like a political all-star team. Let's take a look at what we know so far, or at least what we think we know tonight. Senator Hillary Clinton is said to be on track to be nominated as Secretary of State. New York Federal Reserve President Tim Geithner has been announced as the nominee for the Treasury Secretary. Eric Holder is expected to be nominated for Attorney General. New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson appears to be headed to the Commerce Department. And sources, including none other than John McCain today, said Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano will be the Secretary of Homeland Security. So we know a good deal more now about the team that Obama is putting together. And to deal with the enormous challenges that lie ahead, we're going to turn to one of our panels here. We're joined by three top-notch political pros to talk it all over about Secretary Gates and the rest of the team here. New York Daily News columnist Errol Louis, also morning host at WWRL Radio in New York. Michael Crowley, senior editor of The New Republic, and Bay Buchanan, CNN political contributor and a Republican strategist, joining us as well. Guys, let me ask you right up on the top here. The promise from the beginning, Michael, was that he was going to have this cabinet of adversaries, people who would challenge him, people who would raise him in his own arguments for his causes. When you look at this lineup, is he getting it?
Well, the team of rivals theory, right? That's what it is. And I think that you are getting that clearly. Hillary Clinton tells you the whole story. I mean, it's amazing to me that these bitter primary rivals now may be serving together. I'm actually amazed at how tolerant so many Obama supporters are at the idea that Hillary is going to have this senior post. But another key promise to his campaign that you heard over and over was building bridges, bipartisanship, being willing to meet Republicans on areas of common ground. And I think that in part, as well as continuity on national security and foreign policy, that's the signal that the Gates pick is sending, to say, I'm willing to work with Republicans with whom I have commonality. Obama and Gates share the idea that you might want to deal more with Iran, for instance. There are places where they can meet. And I think that's important to him. It was important to him to send that signal somewhere in cabinet selections. There's a Republican in there.
Bay, let me ask you about this. There's a difference, though, between Hillary Clinton, who is an opposing Democrat, and a lot of Republicans who might really oppose him. What signal does the Gates choice make?
Well, you know, first of all, I think Republicans are first Americans, and I think Gates makes really good sense because we are in a time of war. We do want that continuity. We want a message sent to our enemies that this transfer of power from the Bush administration to the Obama administration isn't going to change anything. We've got some really top-notch people who are watching over things, and it'll be a very smooth, and they should expect that, not to think that this isn't going to be a man ready to act if he need be, and that being President Obama. So I think it's good. I think the fact that Gates himself is a solid fella, very, very strong, wonderful appointment in my opinion.
Same question to you, Errol. What about Gates, and what about the panoply of people here?
Well, the Gates appointment in particular, I think you got to keep in mind that there are some very practical tasks above and beyond fighting those wars. There are weapon systems and a strategic doctrine that has to be revamped for the 21st century. That's what Rumsfeld was really supposed to be doing at the same time as he was fighting two wars. The whole thing got away from him. Gates, as a manager, I think has got to not only withdraw the troops, but also start taking steps toward downsizing, removing some of these unneeded weapon systems, coming up with a new counterinsurgency doctrine, a new overall defense doctrine for the United States. I think the cabinet as a whole, I think it shows a great blend. You know, I mean, it's ethnically diverse, and it's got regional sort of diversity, and, you know, the bipartisanship is obvious. I think something that's also worth noting is that he's taking a lot of people who have direct links to Congress, meaning he's going to be serious about moving a legislative agenda. He's not going to just talk about it. He's not going to just jawbone Congress. He's not going to just stir up the masses and try and have them, you know, make a lot of phone calls to Washington, D.C. He's serious about getting stuff done. We'll see if he can really hit the ground running.
Do you buy that, Michael? You think these ties to Congress can actually pay off because Congress has had its own problems?
Well, no, I think I think it is right. I mean, I think one of the concerns that people had about Obama early in the process, and that was a big part of Hillary Clinton's case against him in the primaries, was Washington. Remember when she said, the skies will not open, the angels will not come down, celestial choir singing? It's hard work. You have to really get in the trenches. He surrounded himself with people who can do that work in the trenches. He's showing, I understand it's not about giving inspirational speeches. You have to have guys like Rahm Emanuel.
Let me interrupt you there, though, for a second. And Bay, let me get you in on this, because it seems to me the problem is when you bring in a lot of talented people, they bring in a lot of big egos. And if you're not that experienced, they can also be hard to corral.
There's no question that is true, but it's a tribute to Barack Obama that he's hiring people, bringing people around him that are strong. That shows that he is strong himself. He's not going to be intimidated. He doesn't need yes people around him. That, I think, strengthens the government. What I ask, though, he talks about change. That was the key. I don't see any change here. I don't know how you expect new ideas to come from people who've been there, we've heard from for year after year.
Yeah, but at the same time, Bay, and I'll turn to you with this, Errol, when the economy starts pitching around this way, you have these kind of problems, I would guess even a lot of people who want change also want a little stability right now.
Sure. I mean, what I see Obama doing is setting himself up as the inspirer-in-chief, above the fray, made of Teflon. He'll be the one to try and herd the cats, but he's not going to let any of this mud stick to him.
He's got some big cats in there to herd right now. Hold on one second. We're going to come back with you guys in a little bit. When we come back, here's a change. Big news on the economy today, and this time, it could actually trickle down to help you with your holiday shopping. No kidding. Stick around. Also coming up, 1 week, only 1 week left before the big three car companies must deliver their plan to Congress. Didn't go well last time. We're in Lansing, Michigan, talking to workers who could lose their jobs. Plus, in the Say What department, she's back. Sarah Palin is campaigning again in Georgia, about as far away from Alaska as you can get. Details in our PDB coming up. Stick with us.
There is only one president at a time. That president is George W. Bush, and he will be president until I'm sworn in on January 20th.
Yeah, January 20th. They keep saying there's only one president, but it seems very much like we have at least 1.5 right now. So let's bring back our panel. Bay Buchanan, Errol Louis, and Michael Crowley all here to help us out. Let me start with you, Errol. Obama right now seems to be walking a very thin line with all this news breaking tonight, all these important things, having to get out in front of it, having to play the game, and yet acknowledge that he's not president yet. How does he do it? How is he doing a good job?
Listen, it works. I mean, look, he did everything except pardon the turkey, you know? I mean, I think what we're going to see is that he's aware that while he's maybe draining some of his honeymoon time, he's going to get another honeymoon. The inauguration in 55 days is going to be an incredible national event. There'll be 5 million people crowding into Washington, D.C. There'll be a lot of goodwill. He basically can start over again. So it's to his advantage, I think, to try and put his pieces in place, understanding that it's going to cost him a little bit in the polls. People are going to start to associate him with a crisis that he really did not create. But he'll get to start over in January. It's kind of a do-over.
Yeah, but Michael Crowley, let me ask you about this. In some ways, he could play it very safe by saying, this is George Bush's presidency, I want nothing to do with it, and it remains George Bush's problem.
Yeah.
Why isn't he doing that?
Because the problem will inevitably become his. And the problem is that the substance is outweighs the optics. He's going to inherit this problem, and he wants to get involved. He wants to get the ball rolling, get his team together.
You're saying the reality of these problems is so big that appearances don't matter. He's got to get on it.
The way in which appearances matter is actually another argument for him to get out there, which is the psychology of what's happening right now, which is there's evidence that the market, you saw this when he leaked the name of Geithner on Friday and the market surged. The market wants to see the new team is there. They're on the ball. They're on top of this. Smart guys are coordinating with the Bush administration. There's not going to be this dead period where we just kind of spiral off into disaster. He doesn't want to inherit a disaster, so he is trying to mitigate it now.
So, Bay, are Republicans glad to see him being proactive, or do they say, look, you're stepping on our president, back off?
No, I think the key here is that President Bush clearly has lost the faith of the American people. They don't believe in his leadership anymore. And we obviously, all of us, I don't care what party you're from, want to see this economic crisis be stabilized and start to turn around. So I think Barack Obama, as not only is it in his interest, it's in the nation's interest that he set out what he wants to do, tells Congress what he needs them to do in the interim so they're ready late January, and we can move forward. He's going to take the reins in late January. In order to be successful, he should have a program in place. The country's facing the greatest crisis in 75 years.
So, Bay, are you suggesting, and I don't want to go too far with this, but that Republicans would rather have Barack Obama in charge right now than George Bush?
No, I'm suggesting that we need to make certain as a nation that the next president, you can't solve this economic crisis over Christmas, no matter who the president is, Tom. So we do need, as a people, to make certain the guy taking charge is going to give some new, interesting direction and hopefully be able to turn things around. But clearly they're working together. Citibank, as much as I thought that bailout was an outrageous the way it was formed, they worked together with Rubin to make certain he took care of his old friends. So they're all working together right now, which is what we should be doing in order to see if we can't stabilize things as fast as possible for America.
Michael, quickly here, what's the most important thing Barack Obama has to do between now and Inauguration Day?
Boy, show the economy, investors, the market that there is a plan. It makes sense. It's grounded. It's going to pass quickly. They can expect relief. He will sign a bill soon after he's inaugurated. But it's a terrifying time. 2 wars, the economy's melting down. It's a really tough presidency. It's a poison chalice, you might say.
And Errol, you get the final word. Can he pull it off?
Last month was the worst consumer confidence numbers since they began keeping them. He's got to do something to sort of spur some confidence going into this crucial holiday retail season. It can make the difference between billions of dollars and thousands of jobs. He's got to try it.
The good part is it looks like it can't go anywhere but up at this point.
Indeed.
Thanks for being here. Michael Bay, Errol, good to have you here. You can start a pretty hot argument by asking who's most deserving of a government handout right now. Still ahead, some folks who say they need to be near the front of that line soon.